Okay, Ambassador, we want to thank you for coming to our studios once again to be on Magnus Kpakol GVA.
Thank you for having me here.
It is always wonderful to have you, so we're happy you're here. But today we want to talk about this so-called slave trade in Libya, the new slave trade. We're wondering, is that what is happening? And you, with your background, you have been all around the world. You're from Nigeria at very high levels as ambassador, also served as permanent secretary in the federal government, big time in the private sector. So you understand the world, well-traveled. What is happening in Libya today? Is there a new slave trade? And in fact, before we really continue, Ambassador, I want you to take a look at a little video that we have of the experience of a Nigerian in this new tragedy. So let's take a look.
I was sold. On my way coming, I was sold. So after I was sold, they asked me to demand a ransom. The pusherman that put me from Nigeria, I gave him money, he did not pay. So they said since he did not pay, he did not pay that money. They now sold me. I was there, the person who came to buy me gave the man money. They asked you to pay money, so probably you must have been there for like 3 months. They will start beating you. From a week, they will start beating you so that your money will come quickly. So I was there for 8 months before I could pay my money and I went out. If you look at most of the people here, if you check their body, you see the mark, they're beating. With electric, even your boot, they took something like a sharp object. You understand? Most of them lost their life there. Many are dying every day. No phone call. Their family will be thinking that person is dead. He has lost it for our life. Know that he's just in one place suffering.
Okay, so Ambassador, now you have seen that. This is a young Nigerian that has been through all of that experience. Obviously, did not know what he was getting into when he set off from Nigeria. He got into that situation there. So what really is the problem here? Is it that something is chasing them from Nigeria, from back home, or something is attracting them from over there? Well, what is the real problem? Why have we got ourselves back into this new slave trade that we are facing now as Africans?
I think it's a combination of it all. When you listen to the story of that young, unfortunate man, so you could say it's partially being stupid, that he really didn't do a proper homework before deciding to leave. But then the question remains, who was there to inform them about the dangers apparent in such a endurous journey and things like that? So, and the family connection, the belief that everywhere else but Nigeria is the best place to go. So for me, it's complex. It's a complicated thing, and not just one factor is responsible for what we are now seeing today in Libya. And the Libyan thing, I've also tried to explain in order for that. Look, it did not start today. It's been going on. What happened under Gaddafi was that they were arrested, similarly locked up, and governments were contacted and to come and take their people. They also went through some hard times, even under Gaddafi's regime.
But they traded
No. Again, here's the point. They also went through some hard times under Gaddafi's regime, but they were eventually deported back to their respective countries because during the Gaddafi regime, it was difficult crossing, going across the Mediterranean. But when the NATO-led alliance of the United States and the Europeans destabilized Libya, with the death of Gaddafi, the country fell apart. So many warlords emerged, controlling different parts of Libya. And of course, with the influx into Europe, I also believe that the Europeans went into a deal that enabled various warlords to begin to capture people or buy up these people to sell to another group in an attempt to prevent them from crossing across Europe. But the bottom line is that we must also trace the journey where it started from. Okay. What makes people to think that elsewhere is better than home? It's of course because of the condition at home. If you look at the history of migration, particularly post First World War and Second World War, there was a lot of migration from Ireland to the United States. You know this. A lot from Italy to the United States. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of movies on this. And there have been so many, there are historic films and write-ups on this migration, even from Russia. Yeah. By Russian Jews that went to the United States. And you go through the Bible, migration is nothing new. The only difference is the way, modern migration has emerged, and the fact that there's this growing belief among, particularly from, Africa and the Middle East. Again, the Middle East, you can understand, the destabilization of the Middle East by the Americans has led to massive influx of refugees into, Europe, which has given rise to nationalism and immigrants feeling. Yeah. And so they are trying to prevent it. More people are trying to go over there. But the bottom line is that we must not lose sight that the whole journey started from home.
Okay. But is it because conditions are bad here, as they were in Europe, when the Russians, when the Irish, when the English went to America?
Apparently for some, that's the way they look at it. Yeah. For others also, you could just say, look, this is sheer stupidity, or this is greed. I don't like to use the word greed, but I see a number of people say this is greed. But in a situation where you find out that parents, for example, there was a time it was commonly reported that in Benin, for example, parents were encouraging their daughters to go to Italy and make money and to send back home. Yeah. And there are also reports, quite frankly, if you look at for many years, I think the Edo economy was virtually kept going by the proceeds from Italy. Yes. So you could see that parents also, people got involved,
But they didn't care to know what occupation
they didn't care to know, because I'm not too sure that initially those who went, they probably have these sad stories to tell, and they were also not telling the truth.
Yes.
Because look, you know this very well among some of your the people you've seen in the United States, even those who are not Nigerians, who are not doing well in a place like the United States, they do send messages back home, given the impression that, look, all is well. Rosy, yes. I remember this particular incident when I was in Atlanta. I went to a wedding, and I saw some young Nigerians posing before this choice classic car and so on, and they were posing around this car, which didn't belong to them, by the way. Yeah. It was a car rented by the couple for their wedding. And as I passed through, I said to them, listen, folks, if you send this picture back home, your folks are going to think you own this car. Yes. And they want
to come.
No, they are going to increase the demand on you to send them more money. Okay. And then they looked at me and said to themselves, that's true. And then they stopped taking the photographs.
So what's happening? Is this slave trade? Is this a new slave trade? What is the real name for what's happening there now?
Well, look, in the absence of a better world, I think, in the absence of a better world, we probably just have to call it slave trade. But it's remarkably different from the slave trade
where people are not coming to capture Africans.
No, they're not really captured.
How is it happening?
No, it's not as if they came to Nigeria and captured. No, these guys just went in and walked into a horrible situation. Put it differently.
The people are captured. They are captured, but captured.
No. You got to start from the start of the journey.
Okay.
The story you showed us,
Yeah.
if you look at the full details of it, the guy was told that life could be better if he could get to point A.
Yes.
He would do A, B, C, D, point B, but every point you have to pay.
Yes.
It's when you get to that point where you can no longer pay, and the guy who's collected the money to enable you travel has also disappeared along the line.
Yes.
So you are just left on your own, nowhere to go, nothing to do, nobody to talk to. And so they leave you in a situation where you run into these, those who control the trade.
Yes.
And that's where the issue of capture comes in.
Yeah.
But until then, it's a well-organized system.